No. Thank you. All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. I don't have a gavel, but we will just hit. All right, all right. Um, so before we get started, I do have a favor to ask someone. Our secretary, our scribe of the vestry, is unable to be here. She's in the hospital. And so our vestry members, one of our vestry members, can you please take the minutes? I'm going to trust that it will be done. Should I trust that it'll be done? Do we have? Okay, Leslie. I was trusting in Leslie. All right, thank you so much. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, source of all wisdom and understanding, be present with those who take counsel for the renewal and mission of your church. Teach us in all things to seek first your honor and glory. Guide us to perceive what is right, and grant us both the courage to pursue it and the grace to accomplish it through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. All right, you all, welcome. We will follow closely the agenda as it's printed. There is one change. Okay, there is one change, and I do not have a statement, but we will have question and answers. Question and answer. So one amendment to that. All right, so we have three vestry members that are running for the vestry. Right now, that is Virginia, Bettina, and is it Orban? I'm sorry? Virginia, Tina, and Oberon Griffin. So we have three. Do we have any from the floor? All right. I think what we're going to do is we're going to hold off until the end to vote for our vestry members. But now I have the senior warden and junior warden report. And I think our junior warden is counting right now.
Hello, Holy Cross. This is the last time that I will be able to give you a senior warden report because I am one of the vestry members who will be stepping down this year. Hold your applause. Okay. And you have before you the report that I prepared for January of 2024. I'm not going to read that to you, but if you do have any questions, I'll be glad to do my best to answer those. What I would like to do, however, is share these comments with you, and I will be brief. At the beginning of his sermon this morning, Father Dennis mentioned that, well, he didn't mention, he stated that he'd been here now 7 years. This is his 7th year. I have been the senior warden for 3 of those 7 years, the last 3 of those 7 years. When he first called me and said, "I'd like for you to be the senior warden," my response was, "Why?" And then I said, well, maybe that wasn't the appropriate thing to say, but that's what first came to mind, and it came up and out before I could stop it. But I want to say that this has truly, truly been a learning experience, a positive, productive learning experience. And I want to take just a moment to say that when fathers mentioned the fact, commented on the fact that things are working together. Things are working together here at Holy Cross. And what came to mind for me is things are working together here at Holy Cross because we work together here at Holy Cross. I know that when I said why me for senior warden, I've never done anything like that before. I don't know enough to do that. I'm a relatively newbie to this church and to the Episcopal Church. But then I realized, and as the time went on, that I have had so many people who have stepped up and assisted and supported and helped. Being senior warden is not a solitary assignment. It's just the one whose name gets to be on certain documents. I have to acknowledge and thank Ira Williams, Jennifer Friday, my sorors, my other sisters and brothers in Christ, Karen Williams, my immediate predecessor, Claudette Grant, Richard Thorpe. These are all past senior wardens when I didn't know exactly what to do or how to proceed, were quick to respond to my request for support and help and information and guidance, and I thank them for that. I want to thank as well the treasurers who worked with me during my 3-year tenure. Larry Hunt was treasurer when I first started, followed by Karen Williams, then Melissa Bevins, and now Melanie Wilson. I can't add and subtract. It's difficult and challenging to multiply. I can do some things in my head, like when you're giving me my change at the store. I know if you shorted me $1 or 2, and I will call you on that. But what was truly intimidating for me was looking at the monies that we as a vestry are responsible for, our fiduciary responsibility to you as this congregation to make sure that the monies are collected and well spent and well taken care of. I took that seriously, and I am ever grateful to the people I just mentioned who served as treasurers. The tasks that they do in making sure that the monies are straight, the monies are good, the reports are accurate, and the reports are available has resulted in our having audits that have no major problems for several years now. And so I appreciate them and the work that they do. And then to make sure that there is money in order for them to monitor and manage and handle, we have our stewardship committee. And to my knowledge, and if I'm wrong, you all correct me as you always do, Evalia Hines has been the chairperson of that stewardship committee, and she's worked with the finance committee and with the vestry to make sure that the monies are coming in as best that they can. And so I appreciate all of them. And I want to say thank you to Father Dennis because he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I never saw myself as senior warden. So I want to acknowledge that and thank him for allowing me that opportunity to grow and to develop and to learn so much more, not only about just Holy Cross, but about this diocese as a whole, not just about the ministries that we have, which are all wonderful and great, but about how a church functions, how it operates, how important it is to have the right people in the right place doing the things needed to keep the building open, to keep the heat on in the winter, the summer, have air conditioning, have lights, all of that necessary for our worship and for our ministries. And so, mentioning that, I also have to acknowledge David Welch. Whenever there's a problem with anything in the physical campus, we will immediately call David. And wherever he is, no matter how much he might fuss and cuss, he will respond. Okay. And I'm not just mentioning these people and neglecting all the other folks in this congregation who work so hard to make our church function, make our church do well, help our church be what God envisions it to be. But when I think about the operations of the church, which we don't always give a whole lot of attention to, I just wanted to bring attention to them. Most importantly and finally, I want to thank this congregation. I could not have done this without your support. This congregation from whom I often received unsolicited advice, assignments, chastisements, input, opinions. I thank God for every one of them because it helped us to get to where we are now. And so I appreciate that. In the report, I've tried to highlight things that have been completed or accomplished this past year. There are some things yet to be completed and hope to see that happen. We've got the website, as Father mentioned earlier. We'll continue working on that and we'll make that happen. We have got our office and specifically our files. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever had an opportunity to go looking through our files for anything. You would be amazed, and not in a positive way. Okay. And so that's one thing we do have to work on. We may have to do a little purging, not just of files, but of stuff. We've got a whole lot of stuff in our buildings, and we're going to have to address that. The files, the office space, the website, those are just a few of the things that I had hoped would be addressed during my tenure and didn't get to do it all, but that's okay because there's still time. And also because as I step down from the vestry, just because I step away from the vestry doesn't mean I'm going to fade away. Even though I've said that to people, that's not my intent. I will still be here to help out as ever and wherever I can. And so with that, I will close these comments. Thank you all for the opportunity for allowing me to serve in this role. And if there are any questions or comments, are we holding those to the end or now? Okay, we'll hold those to the end. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll hold our comments to the end. I want to personally thank Michelle, who really she the role was sort of given to her for 3 years, and the reason why as you know, I split my sabbatical, and so I thought it would be very cruel to choose a brand new senior warden and then leave for a couple months. And Michelle agreed that she would do it because she had all things under control. So, Michelle, thank you for your ministry. Thank you so much for all that you've done. All right. All right, we do have our junior warden report. I think she is uh, counting, and so I'm going to ask that our treasurer come on up, Melanie Wilson, to share with you, give you an idea of our financial status and picture. Why don't y'all clap as she's on her way up here? She works so hard to do what she does.
Good morning, Holy Cross. How is everyone? How is everyone? All right. So I'm going to open a PowerPoint that you won't be able to see, but it will help me stay on target with the things that I need to talk to you about. So I know I remember sitting out there in the pew, and whenever the conversation around money started, I used to feel a little uncomfortable and hold on to my purse a little tighter and just get a little sweaty about, oh, here they are coming to ask me for money. So what I'm going to do this one, I'm going to do three things. I'm going to do four things. I'm going to thank you, because that's important. Did you hear that from the treasurer? I'm going to bring some facts to your attention, some highlights of what the financial year has been. Can you not hear me? Is that better? Okay, I'm going to bring some facts about our financial picture for 23, and I'm going to talk a little bit about 24, and then I'm going to, speak some truths around some decisions we'll have to make arising from the end of the Curry grant. So I'll thank you, give you some facts about what we did in 23, a little bit of facts about what we have to get done in 24, and then we'll have some truth telling. But I'll be kind. The whole time I told Father Dennis I'd be kind. There's no reason for me to be unkind at all. So first of all, I want to thank you, because through your efforts, we were able to pay all of our bills last year. So a round of applause, everyone. Give yourself a round of applause. So everything, I've heard a theme coming, it's evolving kind of naturally. I heard it from Father Dennis when I was in the workroom making copies. I heard it from Michelle, our beloved senior warden. And I'll say the same thing. Everything we do at Holy Cross, we do together. There's nothing that happens here that simply involves one person. So whether it's working on the altar as a team, whether it's counting the money as a team, whether it's working in the garden, it's always done by more than one person. And it just so happens that the finances of the church are something that we all get to do. That's probably the one thing that we can all participate in. And we can do that whether we're here, whether we're watching online virtually, whether we're worshiping from a distance in another country like Panama or the UK. The finances are something we all do together. So, highlights. So we met our financial obligations in 2023, and we did that relying on you, our faithful contributors, members, whether you submitted a pledge card that you honored or whether you consistently contribute by way of your pledge. So that's why we're saying thank you. So we had 98 people pledge this in 2023, and they generated almost $280,000. But we also had what I call the consistent and much appreciated plate contributors. Those are people who do not have a pledge card, but they give consistently. So they gave almost $46,000. So altogether, our total contribution income was right. You can call it 350. It was actually $347,000. That's what came in from you and as a member of this church and other people who might have given from time to time. That was our total receipts for the year. So every year in the ideal world, we want to be able to pay our bills from what comes in from you. And by and large, we did that. So we don't want to be tapping into our reserves. And we did not do that in 2023. You have a couple of things that I've given to you. You should have a little financial update that kind of summarizes some of the financial picture. And then you have a multi-page document that's the budget. But let's just stick with the highlights of what we did. So we ended this year, and whenever I talk about this year, I'm talking about 2023. We ended this year with approximately $261,000 cash in hand. That's what's sitting in the bank. That includes the money that we have in our investment account, and then that includes the money that we have in operating and in a money market account. So our cash position at the end of 2023 was about $10,000 better than it was in 2022. That's good news, right? Everyone here would want to have an extra $10,000 in their bank account from one year over the next. So another round of applause, because you did that, right? Okay. So you can see in the document that I've given you, I did tell you that we have $111,000 in our investment account, and the rest of that is in our other accounts. Then I also identified in that document about $118,000 in what we call restricted or designated funds. So that's money that's there. It's been given by you, and it has a specific purpose. And that can range from money given from the food pantry, and that's had incredible support this year. Thank you for that. Money given for the food pantry, money given for music ministry, money given for the director's discretionary fund, money given for the there's some money that's designated for specific purposes. So that's where we stand on that. All right, moving on. All right. So every year the vestry has to approve a budget, and every year we set a goal for what we'd like to receive. So on the income side, we wanted to receive about, I think we had a number in mind of $325,000. Actually, no, $358,000. And we ended up collecting 92% of that. The good news is that member giving continues to increase. We had the pandemic and we had a drop off in 21, but it remains true, and this is the good news. Our total contribution income increased in 2023 over 2022. So we have good news on our cash in hand. We have good news with our overall contributions. We had more coming in 2023 than we had in 2022. And we did not reduce our cash reserves. Our cash reserves were at end of 2022, they were at 260. We ended up at the end of the year in 2022 at 250, and our cash reserves were higher in 2023. So again, overall, we're holding our own. I'm going to talk about the Curry Grant. Everyone say after me, Curry Grant. All right, just stick a pin in that. We're going to talk about that, because that's the big notable exception from our so-called financial sustainability. Take your mind back to during the pandemic times, there was the sustainability team was set up. This was a bunch of people pulled together by Father Dennis, and they met over about a 12-month period virtually. And one of the things that they talked about, and the consensus was, we need to ensure financial sustainability, because that's how we can stay here for another 60 years. We're coming up on our 70th, right? You want to be here for another 70. You and I may not be here, but we want Holy Cross to be part of the community. So right now, we're paying our bills, but we're getting some help. And the help we're getting is from a grant that we received from the diocese in 2020. It was about $120,000. And it was a grant, it was a gift that was made to the diocese specifically to support the mission and ministry of Father Dennis. It was someone who knew about his ministry here, wanted to support it, made a gift to the diocese, and the diocese in turn made a gift of that grant to us. And basically what it is, it's a $21,000 subsidy of the salary that we pay Father Dennis. So the thing to understand, folks, is right now we are not paying for a full-time priest. I'll let Let that sit with you for a minute. So Holy Cross, we're not standing on our own 2 feet, paying for a full-time priest. A full-time priest in the diocese is someone who has health coverage. We're not paying that. And we're relying on the diocese for $21,000 every year. We got the grant in 2020. And you can see from the little cheat sheet I gave you, that last bullet there says the grant expires at the end of next year, at the end of this year. So we're like a critical point in 24. So last year's vestry did something really important. And they decided that we should begin to wean ourselves. You can say progressive reduction in draw. We decided, think about weaning, thinking about being a nursing mother. You're going to wean your baby off of being nursed, right? So we decided it was important that we begin the process of weaning ourselves off of reliance on the Curry grant. And what that meant was that the vestry budget in 2023, the year that just finished, they decided that we would start to assume more responsibility for that bucket of money. So think of the Curry grant as a bucket. There's $21,000 in there. We're going to take less from the Curry grant bucket. We're going to start weaning ourselves off. So we started that in 2023 and we succeeded. This year's budget in 2024, same process. We're going to wean ourselves. But next year, come January 2025, that's $21,000 will be gone. So we don't want to be faced with tough choices in 25 about the budget and what we can fund and what we can afford to keep and what has to be cut. Where would that money come from? Either comes from more money coming in, or it comes from cuts to programs that we all want to see happen at Holy Cross. So in the budget, you'll see in 2024, there's money allocated for youth and children. You heard Father Dennis this morning talk about the plan to hire someone to come in and advance that program. If it's going to get paid for, it's going to get paid for because of what you're going to give during the course of the year. And you've given consistently, and we have faith that you can continue to do that. So we can avoid a situation of having to make some hard choices in 25 around funding the priest salary. We don't want to be faced with making hard decisions in 2025 around funding the priest's salary. So that's my story about the Curry grant. We can sit with it, but we know that together, because of what we've been doing with our gifts that have sustained the life of the church, we can move forward together with a level of confidence that this is something that we're going to be able to do and that we aren't going to be faced with making tough decisions in 2025. So treat 24 as a practice year. Treat it as a dry run. To the extent that you were not able to fulfill your pledge last year, then that's something that we could all agree that we'll do together. That together, if we haven't fulfilled our pledges in 2023, we'll do that in 2024. We can all together decide that if there's anything that we can make, any adjustment that we can make at all to our giving. And we have this expression, I'm going to use a Guyanese term, and I think a couple people will understand it. In Guyana, we say something like, what's it, 1 Dutty McBill Dam? Okay, the concept is everybody putting a little bit makes a difference, right? That's the concept. So it doesn't have to be a situation where any one individual is feeling pressure. So we're not sitting in our pews squirming and feeling uncomfortable because we're talking about money and the need to give. But we're just going back in our own minds and saying, in order for us collectively to not be faced with hard decisions in 2025, let's continue what we've been doing collectively with our increased gifts, with our improving the cash reserves, let's collectively decide that we won't be faced with those tough decisions in 2025, that we can do things in 2024 in the same way that we've begun weaning ourselves off the Curry Grant in 23 and 24. So come 2025, we're ready. We've set this nice table where we can gather and have youth programming and have greater support for the seniors ministry and have a high quality music programming. These are things within our reach, but it's about the dollars at the end of the day. But there's no reason for anxiety if we do it together. So that's the message that I want you to hear when we talk about that particular piece around the Curry Grant. It's important. We have to have truth telling around it. It's not a cause for anxiety, but it's a cause for feeling empowered around what we can do collectively together and thinking about what we've done, looking for those of us who've been around, looking through the challenges that we've been through before. I remember we were here in 2016 without a priest. Our senior warden at the time was Jennifer Friday. And when every week we had a different person coming up. And that was uncomfortable. But we pushed through it. We're in a much better position now than we were. So this is a time to just feel like collectively, this is what we're going to do in 24. In 24, we're going to get ready to avoid making tough decisions in 25. All right. Enough on that subject, I think. So, what's in store in 24? I like it. So, we have a mortgage, and you can see in the handout that I gave you titled Financial Update, it's the penultimate bullet. The current balance on our mortgage is $568,383. Folks, I remember when it was 1.2, yay! It was $1.2 million, and now we're down to $568,000. My. So our current mortgage is with Citizens Trust Bank. We have a good working relationship with them. The note expired. We're on a 5-year note that was, we got that loan in 2019. August of 2019, we got that note. It expires in August of 2024. I can tell you that we aren't sitting back waiting for them to come to us. The Finance Committee has already met on this issue, and we are actively engaged in exploring our options with CTB, the bank that we're already with, and looking elsewhere. So we're going to be in the business of getting a new mortgage note. We don't know what kind of interest rate we'll get because, of course, it's a different climate now, but we're going to do our very best because we take very seriously our responsibility to be good stewards of your money. The vestry has a fiduciary responsibility to take care of the gifts that you make, and that includes in making sure that we get the best deal that we can. So that effort is going to get executed in the next couple of months. We had in the spring of 2023, we had our audit. And I would like to personally take this opportunity to thank our immediate last treasurer, Melissa Bevins, round of applause for Melissa, for all of the work that she did literally single-handedly in getting us ready for the audit. So we appreciate that. And if I'm in the thanking business, I should also want to say thank you to the several prior treasurers that I've leaned on as I've transitioned into this role. Melissa's one of them, Jennifer Hillman's one of them, Karen Williams is one of them. So people, as the senior warden said, anything that happens at Holy Cross is a team effort. And I've been able to kind of lean on those immediate past treasurers as I've kind of transitioned into this role. So I want to thank them publicly for that. So I've talked about I've talked about the mortgage. I've talked about the Curry Grant. There's an interesting little development that I've literally watched from one year over the next, and that's regarding income from Royal Hall. Now, when we prepared the budget in 2023, we kind of had a low projection of generating about $3,500 in income from Royal Hall. But surprise, surprise, by the end of the year, we generated $4,500 from Royal Hall. So Royal Hall is a potential source of revenue. If we can, and there has been, I guess there's been a committee working around that, and I'm not going to speak to that. I think perhaps there's some reference in the junior warden's report to that. But Royal Hall can yet be a source of income for us if we make the right investments. And the vestry did commit in 2023 to spending about $25,000 to support some enhancements of the space. I know that project didn't get taken off the ground, but presumably it's going to happen sometime, but it's a worthwhile investment. The more attractive Royal Hall is, the more we can rent it out and get income from it. So it does have that little nugget of light I saw from our projection of $3,500 to realizing almost $4,600 tells us on the finance committee that that's a potential source of income. So watch this space on that. Okay. What have I? I'm going to talk about this. As you know, in the same way that we are under an obligation of sorts, well, we are under obligation to make a tithe of our gift of our money to the church. The biblical tithe is 10%. You won't be surprised to hear that canonical obligation transfers over to us as a church in relation to the diocese. Simply stated, we have an obligation to give 10% of our revenue to the diocese. It's called the fair share. And so last year, so in 2021 and 22, we were paying 5%. The vestry voted in 2022 to increase our 5% to 7%. So this year and last year, we're paying 7% of our revenues to the diocese. There's an appeal process that we have to go through in order to stay beneath the 10% threshold. So the vestry successfully appealed in 2023, and so our share in 2024 will be a 7% share. But there will come a time in the not too distant future where the diocese will have an expectation that we'll resume our 10% obligation. I can tell you that I don't think that will be happening in 2025 because we still owe some arrears from about a decade ago. About a decade ago, we were having some financial issues that you were all well aware, and we stopped sending money to the diocese. But we've since recovered, but we have some arrears that we're paying off. So once the arrears are paid, I expect that we'll have to return to the 10% giving level. That's how it works. You give to the church has to give to the diocese to support the mission and ministry of the diocese. So you have with you, you should have a document that has like a yellow flash at the top. And Father Dennis wanted me to give you all the detail of the budget. So I want you to have there's full transparency here around how we plan the budget. Well, there's transparency around you knowing what the budget is. And so if you look at that very bottom number, flip to page 3 and go over to the right-hand side of page 3. So the vestry approved a budget at the December meeting of $453,000. $433. It's a big budget. But a budget is a plan, right? Because we can't do any of this without the money coming in. So some things happened last year that really helped us avoid a deficit budget. So a deficit budget arises when you essentially have to tap into reserves because you spend more than you have coming in. So imagine in your household, you spend more than you have coming in. That means you probably have a big credit card bill, or you owe money to family, or you've dipped into your 401k or something. So we're projecting a deficit budget in 2024 in the same way we projected a deficit budget in 2023, which is why at the bottom of page 3, you see that red ink. So that red ink is a deficit. But that deficit only arises if we actually end up spending every single penny that was budgeted. So in 2023, we got lucky. We didn't end up spending every single penny that was budgeted. And there was two primary reasons for that. First of all, we got a check for $47,000 in February in connection with an insurance claim. There was some damage to the roof of Royal Hall, and so we got $47,000. And what that meant was that we were able to use that $47,000 to repair the roof and not dip into the money that would ordinarily have been allocated to maintenance and repair. And so there was essentially there was an offset. We had this money coming in that covered expenses that we would have ordinarily had to cover. So that's part of the reason we didn't end up in a deficit budget. And to a lesser extent, the other reason why we didn't end up in a deficit budget is that during part of last year, we didn't have a parish administrator. So that was those two reasons for the underspend. First of all, the injection of cash, the insurance claim. Second of all, the underspend on salaries. And third of all, we had an underspend on ministry programs. We didn't spend hardly any money on the Christian ed, youth, and seniors. So when you have an underspend, that helps balance things out. Think about your own household budget. You budget $500, fix your car every month, and you don't have to fix your car. You've got an extra $500. That helps offset another expense that you might have. So that's one of the things that happened in 2023. So there's some good news, as I said. Our gifts are on an upward trajectory because we collectively are giving more in 2023 than we did in 2022. Our cash reserves are in an upward trajectory. We ended 2023 with $10,000 more cash in hand than we did in 2022. But we have an opportunity in 2024 to get ready to avoid making tough decisions in 2025 because the Curry grant has come to an end. So now we have to fill that bucket. So there's good news. It's good news about what we've done, and there's optimism about what we can do. Thank you.
All right, our junior warden walked in. Do you want to highlight some things, Miss Junior Warden?
It's still morning. Good morning, everyone. I had no plans to come up here, so the statement is in the bulletin. I just want to personally thank people that have helped me operate as a junior warden. I have to give special thanks to my right-hand men, and that would be Ken Barton and Roland Wallace. I'm going to give them a round of applause, and if you don't. Couple of things we had things happen during the year. Some of them weren't so nice. We had the break-ins, we had cars being broken into, but what encouraged me the most is how everybody stuck together, how everybody, we didn't let it break us. People still came to church. Of course, there was still some anxiety, I guess, around what could happen, but we made some adjustments, and people are still coming. So we want to encourage that. We don't want to go anywhere else. So it's not a case of us saying, oh, we're not going to be here anymore. No, that's not going to happen. We're staying right here. So we just have to deal with what comes our way. So I just want to thank everyone that's helped me, everyone that's helped the church. And let's just carry on making it a great place to worship. So thank you all.
All right. Before we move into questions, we had we have a vestry. Actually, we have three folk that were running for the vestry. Do we have a motion to close the vestry nominations? I third. I fourth. We have four. Hold on. Y'all are never fourth to do anything, but I guess to close that vestry. All right. So we have three. We have three people. And we just need a motion to accept the three nominees: Virginia, Oberlin, and Bettina. So moved. Do we have a second? All right. No need to vote. Yeah, I think. Well, congratulations. Let's congratulate our vestry members. Huh? Well, we have Oberlin. Where's? Oh, and Virginia. All right. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you all and welcome. And if we could meet briefly after the service, after this, that would be great. Um, Something was on my heart as I was over there. You know, I think over the years, I didn't think about this, so I don't want to get in trouble for saying it. So I want to be careful. Over the years, in many places, we don't feel like we've had a meeting until we stay there for 4 hours. And the reason is that there's a lot of arguing, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of, he say, she say, and so forth. Amen. We come and we did business. We did what needed to be done. We're gonna open. We're gonna still open it for questions, so you all may have to come a bit. But we came and did what we needed to do, and I will go as far as saying that is the sign of a healthy congregation. Y'all can clap. That is the sign of a healthy congregation and people who are committed to doing the work. Doesn't mean that there are no disagreements. It doesn't mean that there are no challenges. It simply means that folk are working together and getting it done. And I just want to say thank you all. Thank you all for that, because I have been a part of 3-hour, 4-hour vestry meetings and long annual meetings. But I give you thanks for all of our presenters. All right. All right, do we have any questions or any comments? All right, maybe I spoke too soon. No, I saw Soyini's hand first. No. We're gonna give you a mic. And no, I'll bring it.
My question has to do with the parish administrator. We do a lot, and I think we could do a lot more if we had a dedicated parish administrator. So I wanted to find out what it's the what's the plan?
Yeah. So Debbie has, for the last couple months, 6 months, been the parish administrator. Debbie last week was brought on as the parish administrator. So she is the person that is in that role. And I guess I'll take the opportunity right now to thank her for all the work that she has done. And is doing. Now, I do want to say this. I'm not sure what the statement meant, but that doesn't mean come and throw everything on Debbie. We're moving away from that model, and there is some independence from different ministries and the ministries that are a part. So there's a participation. I don't know if you all know, but a lot of times somebody comes in and they just say, "Hey, I need you to do this," and it piles up and piles up. And so we're reflecting back the things that need to be done in the office, and the other things will the ministry or person will have to take responsibility. But I'm sure that it will indeed work. All right. So Yeni?
I think this is a question both for you and also for Melanie. So one of the data points that I think is important is around attendance. And I'm wondering if you have any data on attendance, both at the 8 o'clock and the 10 o'clock, because that correlates with the finances and how much money we're making as well. Because I think I've noticed a noticeable drop off at least at 8 o'clock in attendance. And so that affects the budget.
Yes, we do have the data on attendance. I do not know it by heart. We take it every week. So every week, the attendance is written down. And we do that we do that and they put it in a book called the Register that's in the office. And so, again, I don't know it by heart. But we also have, now we have the digital world in which when the parochial report comes due in March, we'll have to tally up the views and the clicks and different things like that. So I don't know, I'm sure, yes, attendance has a lot to do. Some people only, or some people contribute when they're here. But I don't know the exact correlation, and I would doubt that Melanie could make that correlation, only to say that, yeah, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard thing to say, but we will be able to tell what the attendance looks like. Now, I will say the attendance has been improving. You all, this is a decent crowd, and the attendance has been improving in the last couple of weeks. And my expectation is that it will continue. It will continue to improve. All right. That's fair. That's fair. It's a report that we do on March, so that has to be turned in on March, and so we can follow up with that.
Greetings, everyone. Food Pantry. I'm Jennifer Friday. I see all these new faces. I don't know who you are, so you may not know who I am either. So I'm Jennifer. I manage the Food Pantry. I thank you all for helping us this year and donating. It's been a rough year because the Atlanta Community Food Bank has had its issues and we have trouble getting food. So I am grateful for all of you who have donated. Now, while I appreciate your donations, there's certain things that we need to understand. One, I do not have enough volunteers. Last year, we had about 30, 40 people roll through at some point. At least that's the list of names I have. But we have about 10 people that come every month to help us. That means they show up on whatever day during that week. The truck comes to deliver the food, 4,000 pounds of food that we take off the truck and load downstairs. We have a certain group that comes on Friday night to help us pack the food, and another group that may come on Saturday to help us distribute the food. I would love to have a ton of people so we could have a schedule and so you can come every other month, but we desperately need people to come and help us out. You know, when Buck was here, Buck used to always say, we've got a food pantry that's run by 80-year-old men. Well, now we have a food pantry that's run by 70-year-old women. Okay? She's not that old, but the rest of us, Holy Cross and I are the same age. So, yeah, most of us are 70 or older. Now, donations. At this point, we'll take almost anything. The food bank now has NICE. That's replacing GNAP because the state found some money to buy food for children. And so we're getting 4 months of NICE. That's actually the title of it, is NICE food for kids. So we're getting better with our canned goods. It still means that we do need stuff because after 4 months, that's going to go away. We continue to appreciate canned goods. Here's what I need from you all. I thank you for bringing me 1,000 pounds of food. We don't have people to unpack a 50-pound bag of anything to repackage to distribute. Most of our families are older people with 1 or 2 people in their homes, and so they don't need a 10-pound bag of rice or whatever. So while we appreciate you bringing bulk items, we don't have the people necessarily to package it and redistribute it. Please look at your canned goods. If it's past a year old, do not bring it to us. If it's rusted, do not bring it to us. We do not have enough people again to sort. When everything comes in, we have to look at the dates on every can or bottle that comes. I know for some of you, I'm helpful because I'm cleaning out my pantry. Check your dates before you bring them to Holy Cross. I don't want to beat up on folks. We appreciate you doing it, but it's extra work for us, and we end up tossing it anyway. So save yourself that effort. When you donate, think, would I eat this from this food pantry? Okay. Because we do get stuff that's, we have to toss it. And I'm sorry for that. But I wanted to say we appreciate what you're doing. We need the help, and be considerate. Think of, if I had to come to the food pantry, would this be acceptable to me? Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'll go there, then I'll come here. Looks like we got 3 more people.
Good morning. My question, Father, is I'm listening to everything that's going on, and we have so many different groups in the church, but I'm trying to find what's going on with the men's group. We went to a retreat last year. Since that, nothing has been done. And I would like to know what's going to happen with that.
You want to know from me?
You are the pastor.
I'm not going to take that one. I'm not going to take that. So you all know my response, right? Y'all know my response. We did meet, and I am the pastor, and I will take responsibility, part responsibility. But I think it's just a matter of us getting together and organizing. That can't be the pastor. That has to be the men who come together and say, hey, this is something that needs to be done. Where is a need? Let's do something. All right. So, but I'm more than happy and more than willing, and I will, to work with you all in discerning what that is and how that looks. Okay. All right. Thank you for your question.
Morning, Holy Cross. I just have 2 questions or comments. One is about the website. I wanted to know where we are in the planning in getting our website done. I think you said a few weeks ago, Father Dennis, Ayoka, there's a picture of Ayoka when she was like 10, and now she's graduated college. So, on the website. So Where are we with that? And do we recognize that we'll need a webmaster or mistress to just keep it maintained, just not to build it, but keep it maintained? Second thing is about Royal Hall. Royal Hall shouldn't just be quietly, surprisingly earning money. Royal Hall is well known in the community. Each of us here should know how much it costs to rent. That if we know somebody who needs a place that can use it and can use Royal Hall, we can tell them, we can let them know that Royal Hall is available. Yes, we could be earning much, much more without, it's already known in the community, even with what we have. Yes, we need some enhancements, but we can do much more with Royal Hall. So the website and Royal Hall.
So I'll take the second as just a statement, right? I mean, there wasn't a question there. Okay. Say the first. The website. Yeah. So we have been in conversations with different website developers. I had done some research, and we had been going and trying to figure out what is the best option. Now, the type of websites that we are looking at are very low maintenance. And so when you talk webmaster, it's important for us because of our capacity that we have things that we can shift and do that you don't have to have a computer engineering degree. Right. And so we've been looking for different ones, and we came across someone. I don't know if you all know, but websites are about $7,000, $6,500. And so we've been hesitant to pull the trigger on that right now. And we have to find. I mean, if you want a website, you have to find the money. And so we have to find a way, but we are still looking. And in fact, Michelle has some information that she didn't share with me last week, but she said she would share with me. But we're still looking at and in the process. But it will be something that will be manageable for folk, because it's important. That's our footprint. That's our image, right? It's how we tell our story to the world, which is become more and more important. And so we're looking forward to doing that. Yeah. You just found your event, Frank. I saw I saw.
Good afternoon, everyone. And my question has to do with technology. And first, let me thank those who have been doing a great job in terms of getting the people who are online for this Sunday services. However, I think that's a great ministry because so many people can't get to church. However, there are times when you get so frustrated because you just can't hear. And I was wondering, are we doing something to upgrade the technology so that we can spread that ministry much further, and that of itself could bring a lot of income to the church?
All right. Thank you for your question. I think that is the challenge with technology in general. As I was getting up today, I used my iPad, and I was nervous that it was going to turn off or something was going to happen when I was in the pulpit. That's just the reality of what it is. And correct. We certainly have been trying to address the different issues that come along with it. The short answer is we're doing what we can. The equipment doesn't need to be upgraded because the equipment is fairly new. It is about training. It is about participation, and people being involved and giving a hand, so it won't be left to a chosen. How many we got up there now? 3. and they're asked to do everything. And so I think it's a combination of those things. And we want to get some training in. Samson has been talking about musically how to get the things connected and so forth. And so we will have some training coming up in the new year. Sorry if you've had trouble hearing us.
Thank you. And for those of y'all that don't know me or maybe watching virtually, my name is Xavier. I'm one of your outgoing vestry members. It has been a pleasure. Um, so it's a two-part question. I understand that our parish has made great strides in paying off our arrears, which will allow us to be able to call a rector, correct? Correct. Okay, but so how close are we, or a timeline is it that we are to pay off our arrears, and what would actually having a rector mean for Holy Cross?
Somebody else want to answer? No. So we haven't paid off the arrears. First, I don't want us to. We're close. And in my sermon, I said we need to embrace the fact that this is something that we want to do. So we're really close to doing that. Now, the arrears was part of it. When you don't pay the arrears to the diocese, then the diocese takes some action against you. And so a while ago, we did not pay our arrears, and so we were placed in a certain status. We were placed on, so you're not a parish, so to speak, you come under the bishop, which is why I'm priest in charge, right? At some point when we had a jubilee, right? And the jubilee was an offer that we could pay our arrears and they would reduce the price, and we took that. And we've been paying on it ever since, which means that we became a parish in good standing, right? So we became so we were delinquent, and when we accepted the jubilee, the diocese and the church came together. We accepted the jubilee, and we became, hey, they're looking at us good now, right? That we're handling and we're paying our debt off. Now, the question of when will you be able to call a rector? I don't know, because there are a couple of things that one of them is the arrears, right? Paying off the arrears. But the bishop used a word a few years ago. He says sustainability, right? So there's the arrears, but then there's a sustainability piece. What does sustainability mean? Melanie did a wonderful job of explaining what that meant, what that means. I always tell Melanie I don't like talking about that part of it. But to be frank, what it means is you have to pay your priest. You have to have a package for your priest. That means you pay the salary, which is usually in relationship to the different priests in parishes our size. I will say we're not there. We have agreed on a certain salary. Also, you have to pay insurance. Insurance is additional funds that come along with that. What else was this? I'm looking at Karen because we went. Of course, you have to pay your 10%. You have to be at yeah. And so there's so many questions. We're not paying 10% as we speak, and so so those are three of the main things. And so I told you all I met with the bishop and we had a conversation. And of course, I took the opportunity to ask, well, what do we have to do? And he asked that I call the diocese. And so I do plan on calling the diocese to see exactly. Now, to be honest, I don't think it's that clear to them. That's why it's not that clear to us, to be fair. But I do think that they're willing to work with us, and whatever conversation that we come out with, I will share that with you. But those are the pieces that are moving about.
I don't know if it's afternoon or morning, but hello, Holy Cross. This is a little sensitive. I have been at Holy Cross for a long, long time, and I'm here on campus much more than people really know and think. And I happen to run into little visitors when I come into this building that are not the welcoming type of visitors. Um, I am concerned about the overall cleanliness of Holy Cross. I am about to start up the nursery. And if you guys go in there right now, it's not a place that you want to bring your child. Um, Children are all over the floor, they're on furniture, they're on walls, they're all over the place. And it's not just the nursery, but there are other places here as I come in and I do altar gill, and we run into these little visitors that come out at night. We need to do something, and I'm not sure who I need to approach because I will, if I have to, one on one, approach that person to voice my concern and even walk them through the areas that I have noticed the need for cleanliness.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer for that. I know that um, there has been conversations about the cleanliness of the space, and I mean the reality. I think the reality of it is, and this is not to excuse it, but we have a building. We have an old building. We have a large building, right? And you know, maybe I'm the only one that every now and then a water bug gets into the house, and nobody's going to admit that. Okay, that's fine. Um, but every now and then a bug gets in, and so we have a big space, and it's something that we have to take a hold of. I don't have the answer. I know that we've had tons of conversation in our Tuesday meetings about cleanliness and what's expected versus what's being done, et cetera. And so, but that will be your leadership team, a combination of buildings and grounds, a combination of junior warden and senior warden, just to make sure that things are taken care of. But thank you for reporting it, because I think that's the important point. So we can address it. We do have an exterminator. Yes, we do. That comes every month when they're supposed to. So a lot of times what you see is dead bugs.
Okay, I won't be long either. I'm going to piggyback on what Marcia asked, because there's always been a problem for me when I get online that there's a dead ear. And I absolutely hate dead ear in any broadcast, including ours. What I have noticed, and I did bring it to somebody's attention, might have been yours, that we don't hear when you stop speaking or when you turn off your mic, we don't hear any of the conversation or the prayers that are going on in church. All we get is dead ear. And you did mention to me that they were working on trying to mic the congregation, having a few other mics around the area. But when you or Mother Griffith, whoever's up there, stop saying the prayers or you turn your mic off, we hear nothing. And so for people who don't have the bulletins, who don't have a prayer book, they get nothing whatsoever. So if somebody new who is not used to the Episcopalian service gets on, they get nothing at those times. And I know you feel like you don't want to have to speak the whole service, but you may have to. Sorry.
Thank you. We did talk about that. So, we've talked about it. I do address the things that I see. If I go and I look at the program, I'll say, hey, can you do this, do this? So we've had the conversation about it. What I instructed, and it may not have been the group that's up there now, but what I instructed is for them to turn the choir mics on when everyone's supposed to be speaking. And she expressed, I do turn my mic off because corporate prayer is what we do. And so instead of hearing me, I like to hear the voices of everyone as we pray together. And so that's why I do that. But we can, y'all hear me? We can turn on the choir mics so that that you can at least hear the choir as they're doing, and you pick up a lot of other voices. Now, the challenge with that is turning the choir mics off because the choir is whispering to such and whispering to such and such. I know, y'all don't. I just hear you. I just hear you. But so we have to be mindful of the other conversations. But it's going to take practice, and it's going to take a certain discipline for us to be able to say, okay, all right, now we need to cut the mics off, and now we need to cut them on. It's tough, you all. I don't know if you know how challenging it is to remember all of that. One of my things, and I always forget, and I've asked them, is when people come up here and share their stories, and I have to pray for them. Sometimes I forget to turn off my mic, and I instruct them to turn off the mic. Now I hope that's happening, but there's challenges within the technology thing as a whole. I promise you, we are addressing them. They hear you now, and we are working. We're working to try to get these things done. All right, and we're trying to make them better. By the way, can you all give our production team a round of applause? For all that they do, for all that they do. Now, here's a cool thing. 3 years ago, we didn't even have this. And now we do. And that's not to disregard what you're saying. I give thanks for it, and we're trying. And these folk aren't getting paid. And they're here every week and committed to doing it. And so just asking for a little grace as we try to get it right. Yeah. You can. All right, we're gonna take 3 more.
As you say, I will not be long. You guys are very aware of the Jesse Norman School advancing. Want to thank Holy Cross for all their support to pass, and we are getting there. There's a little sheet that didn't quite make the report, but this is out there. It was submitted on time, but it just didn't. It's out there now. So there have been questions about our relationship, and this seeks to define those relationships. And one of the important things is we have a nonprofit status now. We have a number, and we can raise our own money. And the intention to raise the money is to build out the upstairs. Okay? Now, the reason why I stood up here is I want to remind you to mark some dates. We're having a community event in Royal Hall on April 20th. We're trying to drag the community into it, get it involved with the Jesse Norman School. And even though we cannot solicit for Holy Cross, once the community sees Holy Cross, they're going to love it, and we won't be able to get rid of them. We also need to remind you that Jesse Norman will be having a summer camp in the hall in July. At the end of the summer camp, there'll be a performance in the hall. And that is on, people got to quit writing with pencil. I can pull my glasses down. July 26th. So mark July 26th and mark April 20th for Jesse Norman events. Thank you very much.
I saw one more hand over here. I'm gonna stay since I'm over here. All right, maybe 4 people.
I'm Beverly Wilbur. You all know. I'm so thankful for Avelia for how eloquently she did explain about our family that we have.
in here. Anyhow, but I just want to touch a little bit on Alta Gale and the Flower Fund. Um, I'm here to ask, we're all getting old or older. Alta Gale is full of, but I old, but elderly people. We're asking for the members of the congregation when you, if you use something, if you use a book, just help us along. Pick up the books, put them back. You leave your little snotty nose paper, just pick it up and throw it out. You know, we're not only old, but we're a little cranky too. So I'm just asking, if y'all can help us to do what we have to do. There's the flower fund comes under the Altogether. We do not have so many people to do flowers. So if I'm throwing it out there, if you guys got the knack to help with the flower fund, can you please join up? We all know, people ask me, well, why we don't have flowers? Well, I ask the same question. But if people don't put into the flower fund, we can't have money to make sure that the church. He's saying we got money, but
I'll say you all have a lot of money in the flower fund.
right. Yes. Right. So those are some of the challenges that we have. We don't have, we need younger people also to join up and be part. We have fun when we get together. So it's not something that is dead. We have a sewing guild that we come to, and it's really fun. I mean, some people come, even if it's just to come and be part of that. Right now, we're in the process of doing making linen for the altar. Come, we do every second Saturday at about maybe 1 o'clock. Come be part of it. Holy Cross we got a campus. Let's use it. If you can share something, if you can teach a young person to do something, let's do it. Don't know what else.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. So there are lots of exciting things going on around Holy Cross, especially going into our 70th anniversary year. And yeah, clap, 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 clap. Great. With that being said, please remember to communicate all of those exciting things with the newsletter team, which is myself, Louis, as he recovers, and Orvia. That group as well needs lots of assistance. It's a very simple task, but it needs help. But please remember to communicate it. I've come on campus, I've been away for a while, but I'm seeing flyers, and it's not part of the newsletter. So please, please remember to communicate any activities that may be going on, the Jesse Norman information. I see the Black History Month flyer is now up, but again, that's not part of the newsletter. And part of it is that we want to be able to get it out so that we can schedule those events, right? And as we're marking our calendars for events in the year, we can say, oh, this is happening at Holy Cross, let me mark it. So please remember not only to share it with the office, but also share it with the newsletter team, myself, Orvia, and I'll add something going forward in both the bulletin and the online newsletter so that you have our contact information. Thank you.
When we send it to office at Holy Cross, that doesn't transfer over, you need it in the newsletter, send it to you.
Her email address is in the bulletin as well. All right, I saw. Hold on. We're gonna do the first before we do we.
Because you kept walking past us, so we were gonna.
I just wanted to stay on that side.
Oh, okay.
No, I was gonna have to walk back.
Just a couple of things. I'll make them real quick. First of all, Jennifer Hillman, I also wanted to acknowledge you. I see as you are leaving that you were a great help as a previous treasurer during these past years, making sure our money stayed straight. The other thing I wanted to mention is some time ago, we shared with you, the vestry shared with you that we had AED equipment coming in. And because of Avelia Hines, that equipment is now here and in place. Now, you may think that AED equipment or fibrillator is for our seniors, and though the equipment will accommodate any situation that we might have with the senior, it is for all age groups, and we have the ones for children as well. So much thanks to Avelia for getting that for the church and putting it in place. We never know when we might need something like that. In addition, Avelia will be scheduling a training so that, or at least a demonstration to start, followed by training. So we'll have folk in the church who will know how to use this equipment. The demonstration will be held next Sunday during coffee hour. Next Sunday during coffee hour. And next Sunday during the coffee hour following the 10 o'clock service with the AED demonstration, we will all be in red. Don't come up in here in pink. We will all be, I'm kidding. We will all be in red next Sunday for worship in, there you are, for worship in red Sunday. I love that girl. Okay. Thank you. Did I get it? That's it. Okay.
Thank you all so much. Now, by the grace of God and the sweet communion of God's Holy Spirit, may it rest, rule, and abide with us now, henceforth, and forevermore. And those church folk gathered said, Amen. Have a great week, y'all.